We are live and on time. Hey, first time for everything. Welcome into 11 Personnel presented by Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett. It has been a chaotic, coffee-fueled first weekend of the transfer portal, and we're here to talk about it all on 11 Personnel presented by Monticello Bank. Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. They've been with us for a long time, and they've been with – look, I can get a ladybug on my microphone right now. That should be some good luck. They've been with us for a long time. They've been with the Commonwealth for a long time, since 1895. 11 Personnel, Monticello Bank. I'm getting distracted by the ladybug. What can I say? You never know what to expect during the transfer portal, but Monticello Bank, they're a solid rock, a foundation of the Commonwealth. They're here to serve you because at Monticello Bank, it's where people matter. They've got a branch not far from you. Go visit them in person or visit them online at nbcbank.com for all your banking needs at Monticello Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, and proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel, where, look at, there's been some late nights. There's been a lot happening. When we last spoke on Thursday, that feels like a month ago. There's been so much that's happened, and before we get into it all, let's get to the big story that everybody wants to talk about, right? Sam Leavitt. We have potential for the rare trade in college football in the transfer portal. We saw the first one in the spring when Nico Iamaleava made the surprising bolt for UCLA. Joey Aguilar comes to Tennessee, and now Cutter Boley, he goes out to Arizona State, and within 24 hours of him leaving, Sam Leavitt is in Lexington. He's on campus Friday night. He's watching film with Will Stein till midnight. And kind of how things unvolve, we can do the whole weekend in general, but we're going to stick just to Leavitt because Saturday night happens, and Jacob Polachek says, "Hey, he's visit's still on, but there's a Texas Tech visit lined up for the following day." Well, he never made it to Lubbock. And there was about an hour or so this evening, Luckett, where I was one of many who got pretty excited about everything that was unfolding, right? This game of musical chairs where Brendan Sorsby, Texas Tech's top target, he visits LSU, but then we have predictions coming in for him to land at Texas Tech. Leavitt never makes it to Texas Tech. Oh, my gosh, is he going to be a Cat? Well, Sorsby has spent some time at LSU. If they weren't going to get Sorsby, they want to get somebody, and now they've booked a trip for Leavitt to come and see them in Baton Rouge on Tuesday. I got very excited there. I'm sure there's some people like me who are disappointed that it didn't just immediately lead to a commitment. But the process, it's still ongoing, Luckett. It's still ongoing. We're still playing the waiting game. Did you get as excited as I did there for, 5 or 10 minutes on Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, just to put it in general, I've had a 4 a.m. update on the board, and I've had a 2 a.m. update on the board. So, that is how my weekend is going. Most of them were revolving around this quarterback situation with Sam Leavitt.
Mm-hmm.
My read of the situation from the beginning, Nick, was Brendan Sorsby is the number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's got to decide. And then the other parties can move on. I think Kentucky tried to take advantage of that to make a fast, direct move on Sam Leavitt. And we were surprised that they were doing that, right? They were taking this big of a swing when it first popped off. And then, it kind of developed, and you learn the visit goes longer than you think. Yep. He's here one night. He stays the next night. He ends up staying a little bit longer. So there's been a little bit more. It's they got a chance here. And for me, my read of the situation was if Landman just gets Brendan Sorsby locked in, Cody Campbell and the boys find some money to get whatever that situation is locked in, which it sounds like that's happening now.
Yeah.
Then I thought Kentucky had a really good chance. Part of the reason I felt that way was because it wasn't really clear what Lane Kiffin and them were going to do.
Correct.
After Sorsby. Now it's seeming like they're going to go make a pitch and try to get Leavitt done. But there was reports earlier, Nick, Charlie Weiss Jr., who's supposed to be at Ole Miss, right? He flew in for the
Yeah.
Sorsby visit.
Yeah.
And now Sorsby went through that visit.
Mm-hmm.
Latest report was Pete Thamel said he's leaving the LSU visit. I think he's going home or going somewhere. I don't know, to make a decision. He's going to make a decision tonight. The expectation is that he will be a Red Raider. But it wasn't real clear. And I thought Kentucky was, specifically when you start adding up the timeline into this, which is unique when it gets to portal recruitments.
Yeah.
You kind of got to make a decision eventually and go. It looked like Kentucky had a really good chance, but now it's looking like LSU is going to move forward. I'm not sure how they're going to recruit Leavitt. If, Weiss has got practice somewhere, he's going to have to be at. But it's not that different from Kentucky, where Stein was only there for a little bit. But, yeah, it's a unique situation. I think Kentucky, you could get I thought they had a really good chance, even going into potential Texas Tech visit, because you can beat out one, but when you start 1 to 2 situations start popping up, you just gotta use some street sense at that point, and it's gonna be like, well, it's not over, but they're trailing in the fourth quarter. Like that's my read as of now. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and you mentioned Weiss. There was a report that he could be in the mix for the new staff of the Giants today, which that felt like one of those fun little wrinkles just thrown in to mess with everybody's heads. But the other part today that we learned was that I think many people just kind of assumed that Trinidad Chambliss would follow Kiffin to LSU at some point, but he would need a waiver. And now people are skeptical on, okay, is he going to be able to get that waiver? We don't think so. And the other part to consider, it's not just the LSU Tigers, that big brand. It's not just to consider the pockets that they have there. They're deep. They're about as deep as old Landman in Lubbock. It's also just the Kiffin factor, right? That I know that portal recruitment, more so than high school recruitment, a lot of it is just a dollars and cents equation for a lot of these guys. But there's still other things involved. There was a kid from UTSA that Kentucky was interested in, who's a Texas guy, and it's like, well, I can go to Texas A&M and play for them. Like, yeah, I want to do that. That very well may factor in here, like the chance to go to Death Valley and play at Tiger Stadium. That could be a draw that Kentucky just can't compete with, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, just be real about it. Payroll, Nick. LSU is reported they're bragging about that they're going to spend $30 to $35 million. I don't have the exact number, but I know it's in the 30s on their football roster. Where Kentucky, they've got a more defined payroll. They're not going to be able to probably, if it gets bidding more situation with Sam Leavitt, they're not going to be able to probably get to the number. But I don't even know if it will get to that. You just kind of look at this recruitment. It just seems like Leavitt is looking, maybe it is a money thing. But Texas Tech and LSU are national championship type places right now. Texas Tech just made the playoff. They're building some of the best rosters in college football. LSU hired Lane Kiffin to get them to that next level. Where Kentucky, first-time head coach, there's a lot of buzz about what Kentucky could be, but they're not, I would say, on the level of those two programs yet. So it depends what you're looking for, but yeah.
We do have some breaking news while we're on. I had one cornerback commitment post ready, but there's been another one. Hassan Sykes, Western Carolina quarterback. A lot of people predicted him to end up at Illinois. There was 3 crystal ball predictions on Saturday for Sykes to be at Illinois. He was visiting there today. He visited Kentucky yesterday. And so it was trending towards I guess it's going to end up being a Fighting Illini. But instead, Sykes, 6'2" cornerback from Western Carolina, has committed to the Cats. He told Jacob Polachek we're getting the We're getting the text now, and the graphics are rolling in. So breaking news as it happens. That'll be the third transfer portal edition so far. And let me see here. We had Tavion Wallace, and then who was the other one earlier today? Look at my brain. Gardner Webb.
That would be gosh, I want to say O'Grady. It's not O'Grady. My brain is sticking here. Antonio O'Berry. This one's an interesting. We're gonna get to Sykes here in a minute. Antonio O'Berry is an interesting one. Nick started in Division II.
Yep.
Came from Wayne High School, which Kentucky was. That was like an old
Vince used to be there all the time.
Right, regular stopping point for Vince Merrill when they recruited Ohio. A lot of they were at Blue. What was the receiver? Blue Adam
Smith was the big guy there, but they recruited much more. Those were Ahmad Wagner went to high school. They recruited Emil Wagner out of there as well.
Reichelsberger was there.
Yeah.
A lot of them. I think Ahmad Wagner went there.
Yeah.
That was a big high school. So for him, he goes Division II right out of high school. Spends 3 years at Tiffin Division II. Then transfers to Gardner Webb and really had 2 highly productive seasons at FCS. It's kind of this edge rusher. Like I think you could say he's an edge or maybe a 4-3 defensive end. I believe he had 17 sacks over the last 2 seasons. I believe he averaged around 40 pressures in each of those 2 seasons. So a potential guy to come in and rush the passer. But to me, I think you just got to look at the other offers. Ohio State had him on for a visit. Kentucky bumped the West Virginia visit. Miami was actively trying to get a visit scheduled with him. So he had some legitimate suitors here. Kentucky gets on the board at edge there earlier today.
Yeah, 39 pressures last year. That's that's a lot of pressures. I think he will need a waiver to be able to get it home. Because he is, like you said, he did 3 years at Tiffin, 2 years at Gardner Webb. Looks like one of those years at Tiffin he got injured. So you would expect him to be able to get one of those injury waivers through to be able to play, and that's why Kentucky took him. But like you said, a lot of big-time players in that recruitment for Antonio O'Berry. The first commitment that happened today, there was one yesterday too, Tavion Wallace, who I'm a big fan of Tavion Wallace. And it's not just because, big brother went to UK, right? Tavion was a blue chip, huge recruit, right? A significant recruit in the high school ranks, but the timing wouldn't line up for him and Trevin to play together. And then there's a coaching change, right? John Summerall recruits Trevin to Kentucky. He leaves, I think, a year later. I think he got 1, maybe 2 years with Summerall. Mike Stoops comes in. And I don't think Tavion was really interested in playing for Mike Stoops. So he ends up it was a huge recruiting surprise whenever Arkansas landed him. Everybody expected him to go to Florida State. He ends up following not T-Rob, but who's the Travis Williams. T-Will was the defensive coordinator at Arkansas, pulled off the big recruiting win and got him to Arkansas. He played in 9 games this year before entering the portal. He was the first one to visit. We had the RPM pick in for him, and he popped yesterday. I think he's a big-time player, not only with a ton of potential, but like the thing about Trevin was a great athlete who didn't really know how to play linebacker. Tavion knows how to play the position, right? Like he's a cerebral player who can come in, compete to start right away, probably plug and play alongside Grant Godfrey. And you know what? They might get another plug and play linebacker too, Luckett, because he's not the only one that is in the mix right now.
Yeah, one of my favorite visitors of the weekend was Robert Woodyard Jr. If your last name's Woodyard, you should be playing linebacker at Kentucky. Can we just get this past? This guy, kid from Mobile, he was a class of 2022 recruit. He'll be a redshirt senior this year. He is visiting Missouri right now. He wrapped up the visit UK. Nick sources told us, we got some intel that, he was a really big fan of new Kentucky defensive coordinator Jay Bateman. Again, he really didn't play much until this past season. And then he just really kind of had a blow up. And it was one of the best linebackers in the SEC this season, 6'1", 239 pounds. This is kind of your your thumper in the middle of this defense. So plug and play addition here. To me, he's one of the more important targets, I think, to emerge from this first week end. Where Tavion is more, he's got 3 years of eligibility. I don't know. He's not a plug and play starter, but he's a guy that's got some upside and multiple years of eligibility that potentially turn into something and help you build quality depth in the room. Where Woodyard, I think, right away, boom, plug him in. And he is a guy, I think, if he's on Kentucky's roster, he will get votes I don't think it's been announced in Tampa, but SEC Media Days, he will get votes for all SEC honors.
Yeah. I want to say, was it 67 tackles this year? That sounds about right. Played in all but 1 or 2 games, so big-time player at linebacker. That's a position they're attacking. Defensive line, like we mentioned earlier with Antonio O'Berry, but they're getting more guys in, and there's some more guys we're keeping an eye on as to who could be next. And one of those is former LSU defensive tackle Ahmad Breaux, Breaux. That guy, when you got a name like that, they made the Joe Burrow jersey just to add the EAUX, and then Breaux, that's just his name. He's from Ruston. He came in, played right away as a true freshman. He was LSU's defensive freshman of the year, and ended up with, I don't know, his rotation in the last 2 years. I forget his stats, but an impressive player who we're keeping an eye on in the next days, hours, minutes, whatever you want to say. He's one we're keeping a close eye on, Ahmad Breaux. You mentioned the Bateman connection. There's another one, Kobe Sellers, who visited over the weekend. Bateman played a big part in his high school recruitment. He was a true freshman this year, a 4-star top 300 talent a year ago. He visited over the weekend, had some nice things to say to Jacob Polachek, some nice things to say about Bateman and Kentucky and everything in general. So we're keeping close tabs on him. And I believe there's another one, Luckett, that we are looking closely at as well that could be popping in the very near future.
And what position is that? Offensive line?
Yeah.
I would just say watch out for Baylor center transfer. Running through the spreadsheet here, we're trying to get all the names right. Colton Price, multi-year starter in the Big 12 from Texas. He started 31 consecutive games before entering the portal. UK got the first visit. He was one, Nick, entered first day, and then he was at Kentucky almost immediately. So moving quickly here on him. He's one of the best centers available. Obviously, you're going to have to get 5 starting linemen. Tackle, get the most attention. But this guy, I think, could really come in and solidify the pivot there for Kentucky. And you look just this past last year, part of the reason I think they had some success was because Jagger really solidified that center position. Mm-hmm. So you're getting, what was one of the best centers in the Big 12 last season, 3-year starter, a lot of experience, and it's that, that Texas pipeline.
Yeah. Texas, Louisiana. It's exciting. There's just a lot happening right now. It would, it is appropriate too that we've been kind of waiting around all day, and it's like, all right, well, the biggest news has kind of happened, and then all of a sudden, more stuff is starting to pop off. That's kind of fitting for the transfer portal, right? You kind of, just when you think you got a wall, nope, boom, full speed ahead. A lot's happening right now, and we're fired up.
Yeah, and just back on the Sykes thing, this is just to your point, how all of this is just unpredictable. Throughout the day, it was Illinois got all the buzz.
Yeah.
National insiders were, I believe, saying Illinois has the buzz here. And then just a few hours later, every Kentucky DB coach tweeted out lockdown, the lock emoji.
Right.
Cat symbol. All of them. Every DB coach, all of them. And then this happened. So it just, things happen fast. And another thing, they are doing, I think, a pretty good job of keeping things quiet. I think the the Colton Price recruitment is just a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Just a perfect, like DeAndre, like getting DeAndre Moore on campus first, I think is a very good example.
Yeah, I was going to start from the top and go back to Friday, but then all of a sudden we had commitment pop off,
Yeah. But that I like what they're doing from that standpoint. Now you wanted to see them get to the wave, and now I think we're seeing them get to that commitment wave.
Yeah. Speaking of waves, I'm going to be riding one tonight too, because the Pittsburgh Steelers are currently battling the Baltimore Ravens to get into the playoffs, looking for another 10-win season. And I did the thing where I logged on my BetMGM app and I saw that the Steelers were underdogs. Luckett, Mike Tomlin, he's pretty good as an underdog. So I placed a wager, Steelers plus 3.5, and then I did the good old fashioned money line sprinkle. And, that's fun to do, especially when you get bonus tokens with BetMGM. They've got the best promotional offers out there. If you aren't on the app, you need to be on the app today. Like between college football playoffs, NFL playoffs, college basketball, BetMGM, they've got you covered from head to toe. Whatever your gambling needs are, BetMGM will be there to help you make a little extra. What was the old make a little extra play in your day? Put a little play in your day. That's not the BetMGM slogan. Right. They want you to make it legendary. So make it legendary with BetMGM. The Bowls, they were good to me. The NFL, it has not been good to me. So we're trying to turn it around with BetMGM. If you sign up today, if you haven't done it yet, use bonus code ON3 and you'll get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. That means if your first bet doesn't win, up to $1,500, you're going to get all that money back in bonus bets when you sign up and use the bonus code ON3. So download the BetMGM app today, use that bonus code ON3, and make this playoff football run legendary with BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms, 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. or 1-877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. The first bet offers for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. See BetMGM.com for terms. Shout out BetMGM. Shout out the Steelers. They're already down 7-0. So
I saw the dots. I saw the dots touchdown on the old Twitter machine. Looks like Jalen Ramsey getting burnt in a big game again.
Oh, no, it's great. Great. But yeah, you're right. They did sneak DeAndre Moore on campus on Friday. And if you don't remember DeAndre Moore, he was a part of the Pierce Clarkson crew back in the day.
I wanted to call him the Super Six, but then I remembered, no, that was the
Irish Hulk.
Irish Hulk and all his cronies. But yeah, that was like the Pierce Clarkson crew, right?
Yeah.
What were they at Bowman Field, like flying
with all the Corvettes?
Yeah. It's like, Bowman Field, you're not impressing me. I know exactly where you are. Yeah, he was all part of all of that. Yeah. With all those guys. And he's probably, of all them guys, him and Reuben Owens, obviously, they've had the most success. And they've been at Texas, DeAndre Moore, A&M, Reuben Owens. Moore, one of the better slot receivers in this market. I believe he had consecutive 500-plus receiving yard seasons. I don't think he had the year that Texas was hoping he would have this year. Wanted him and really Ryan Wingo to step up and be like top guys for Arch Manning. That didn't really happen for whatever reason, but a quality, I think, slot receiver could come in and really be a good player for his next offense. He's got a lot of options. I believe he's at Ohio State today, but Ohio State does not have Heartline anymore. So recruiting receivers, we'll see how that goes for the Buckeyes moving forward. Colorado's in the mix here. I believe even Louisville's got a visit scheduled, but Kentucky is in the running here for DeAndre Moore.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks considered Ohio State for obvious reasons to be the top dog, but I mean, that's one of those guys you see and you're like, oh wow, because part of me is just surprised he's portaling. Period. I mean, Was he Texas's best receiver? Probably.
I'd say Wingo, and then he was second.
Yeah, but I mean, damn good, you know? He's portaling, and he was there on Friday with CJ Baxter, Cedric Baxter, the former top-ranked running back in high school football back in the 2023 class. He shows up. He's awesome right away. Is all Big 12 freshman All-American after putting up something like 600 yards and 5 touchdowns back in 23. But then ahead of the 2024 season, he suffers a season-ending knee injury. That puts him out. He's back this year for the start of the year. He doesn't quite look the same. And then by week 3, he's got hamstring issues, right? And so he's kind of dealing with that all year. And you could understand why he's like, all right, I need a fresh start. We got to get this thing rolling in the right direction. And so now he's in the portal. Kentucky got the first visit. Over the weekend, it looked like they were the only option. And then Sunday evening learned that he's scheduled a visit to Colorado. But it does feel like Kentucky's in a good spot for Baxter, who, if you don't think that there's too much tread worn off the tires from a hit standpoint. It's just like, how healthy is he bouncing back from basically, I don't want to say 2 years off, but it kind of felt like 2 years off. Kentucky's willing to take a chance on him. Some other schools probably will, but it feels like they're in the catbird seat as we after 3 days into the transfer portal.
Yeah, Baxter and DeAndre Moore obviously played at Texas together. I've heard they're pretty good friends, so maybe a package deal. But the Colorado interest is interesting. Brennan Marion is the offensive coordinator there.
Mm-hmm.
He was at Texas when they were recruiting Moore and Baxter. So that's just something I think to watch out with Colorado. There's just something worth pointing out. But Baxter, like, he was a huge recruit.
Yeah.
5-star.
You don't see 5-star running backs often.
It was a huge recruiting win for Sark and his staff. Like, Florida and Florida State were all in trying to get him.
It's from Florida.
Yeah, from Orlando. I believe he was committed to Florida State at one point. Signs with Texas. And on their first playoff team in 2023, when they lost to Washington, Michael Penix, Kalen DeBoer the year Michigan won the title, he was one of their better offensive players. He had a really good season. Rushed for 600-plus yards, had 20-something receptions.
Mm-hmm.
There was a year after Bijan went to the NFL, Bijan Robinson, and he was looking like the next kind of star tailback for them. Then injuries happened. He tore, I believe it's PCL and LCL in fall camp ahead of the 24 season, missed the year. Then 2025, he had what seemed like maybe like a DJ Waller hamstring type situation where it just kind of lingered all season. So he really hasn't been healthy since that freshman year. If Kentucky's getting the true freshman CJ Baxter, that's going to be a really, really big get. And to me, he's the best back to emerge that they've targeted on the board so far. They've had some other guys visit, but Baxter, I think, was one of the, like, that's the guy you're bringing in to be the starter. And so it's a big target, I think, for them, and we'll see where that goes. But the Colorado visit is interesting because we went a couple days before that happened. And so we'll see how this all kind of moves.
Yeah. Things move fast. They happen quickly, especially early on in the process. Next Monday, I believe, is the drop ad day, the 16th. So, or no. Is that a week from Monday? I don't know.
I haven't even looked that up yet because there's just so much going on. And there's
it's a week from Friday. So we have essentially 2 full weeks to get everybody in on campus. So there's a lot that can happen, a lot that will happen. But I guess it's probably good to kind of go positionally for a little bit because we touched on it a little bit. I think we've gotten to the big fish, the commitments. There's probably going to be more to come. Oh man, have you ever had coffee mouth? You know what I'm talking about, Luckett?
I think I haven't heard that
phrase.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have an idea of where you're going here.
Yeah, like were you just like it's just you keep drinking it, but like in the back of your tongue, it's just got this like I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it, but man, I had a bad case of coffee mouth yesterday, and We're figuring out ways to get creative with it. I don't know, but lots of coffee being consumed over here. I had to. I bought one of them big giant Sam's things. It's so big it doesn't fit in my cabinet. I have to store it in the basement, and so we had to refill the smaller tub today. So we're moving in the right direction. We're portaling the right way, Mr. Luckett.
Yeah, it's a grind. We're just day by day over here. We're just trying to get through each day. It's only day 3. This is what we get for having a quick coaching search, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Mostly painless coaching search. Now we're everyone's putting in the time over here in the portal mines.
Somebody mentioned espresso. I like to do an espresso drinking in the afternoon. It's like a 2 o'clock, and let me get the engines revved up a little bit, change of pace. Brendan, he asked the question that I think is on a lot of people's mind. What's the O-line looking like? Because that first batch of visitors that we reported on included a lot of offensive tackles. They were only able to get some of them on campus. And I'll say big picture-wise, Luckett, my big picture takeaway from offensive tackle recruiting in particular is that every offensive tackle Kentucky is in on, so is Texas A&M and LSU. Right? Like, it feels like they're the same. It's those 3 teams. They're all going after the same guys. It's not so different than sort of the Leavitt sweepstakes, right, where you've got the same teams kind of vying for the same crop of quarterbacks. We don't know who's going to land where. But I think the biggest one available, I don't know if he's the highest ranked or where they have that or not, is Tyree Adams. He was the starting left tackle for LSU that we mentioned on our portal preview show. Kentucky got the first visit on Saturday. I don't know if he showed up at A&M today or if that's going to happen tomorrow, but those are the 2 big schools for the big offensive tackle from LSU.
Yeah, I mean, as expected, we thought Kentucky would be very active in LSU's kind of transfers to leave the program. Adams is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Left tackle. He seems like their top left tackle target. So watch him, I would say, closely. Karius Kern, another LSU tackle who's in the portal. Kentucky's expected to be in the mix there. He had kind of a snafu where LSU wasn't letting him out of, or wasn't, I guess, processing his paperwork. So it took him longer to officially get in the portal than expected. He's in there now, so he's a guy I think to watch. And then we had a Pete Nakos report today of Alabama starting right tackle for most of the season. Now, he slid down inside the right guard the last 5 games, really in November, and then through the postseason playoff run for the Tide. Wilkin Formby, again, he's a redshirt junior, multi-years of eligibility. His lead recruiter at Alabama was the only Eric Wolford, who is now probably going to pursue him in the portal from LSU. So he's a name to emerge. So there's some guys out here. Kason Henry, who started at South Carolina at right tackle, I believe the last 3 years, but has some injury concerns. He's out there. He visited. He was one in the first batch of visitors. And there's going to be some more guys that emerge. Akron transfer Delvin Morris visited. Feels like a guy that Kentucky could get if they push for it. And then Colton Price, the Baylor center. Yeah. And so that's where we're at.
One other player I wanted to mention, because he has a very fun story. Olas Alanen. He is originally from Finland. His dad played in NFL Europe and was on the Falcons practice squad for a little bit. He moved stateside to pursue football as a high school junior. And Liam Cohen actually recruited him. Him and Scott Woodyard recruited him when he was in the Connecticut prep school scene. Shortly thereafter, he blew up, was a top 200 recruiting win, goes to Alabama. He's listed as a tackle. He looks more like a guard. He's like 6'6", 330 or something like that. Good athlete, but he's just never really moved up the ladder, right? He's always been in that sort of reserve role. We learned that he visited today as well. So he's a fun story. I believe Auburn is also in pursuit of him. He's expected to visit there. So there's another name to keep in an eye on in the trenches. Let's see who we got here. Oh, a little super chat. Dealing with Dylan said, so if not Leavitt, who? I think there's some important things to note, Mr. Luckett, when we talk about recruiting transfer portal quarterbacks, is that they need more than one. They have one scholarship quarterback on the roster right now, and that's Brennan Ward. They need to get backups. And as far as we're concerned, there's two that fit that mold. Ashton Daniels is we know him well because he started against Kentucky this year at Auburn. He started his career at Stanford, beat U of L when he was there, had a big game after Hugh Freeze, got fired. What was it, like 3 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, something like that against Vandy. Weird how all these players start playing well once Hugh Freeze is fired. Same thing you could say about Malcolm Simmons, one of Kentucky's wide receiver targets in the transfer portal. He had a couple 100-yard games after Freeze got fired. But Daniels, he kind of fits that mold of guy you bring in to compete. Landon Clark was the one who was on campus today. He was at Elon this year, dual threat guy who was up for the Jerry Rice Award, which is given to the nation's top FCS player, FCS freshman, I should say. A runner who had, I don't know, like 600 yards, but he put up really good numbers at Elon.
Yes.
So that's the kind of the other names for a QB2 spot. But as far as QB1, if you're on KS board, like, I think it's a good thing that none of these sort of QB1 candidates have been leaked yet, Luckett, because that makes me think that the staff feels like they still have a realistic shot at Leavitt.
Right, but I'd be interested to see now with the LSU visit if that comes now. I will say Daniels, like if you were going to do a thing where you brought 2 guys in to just compete legitimately,
yeah,
I don't think that will be the case with the Elon quarterback, who I actually kind of like his potential.
Right.
It's kind of a high upside guy with 3 years of eligibility left. But Daniels is a guy that could start games and win for you potentially. He wouldn't. It's not going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC.
No.
But if you were going to have like a legit competition, bringing him in, I think you could see that. But we'll have to see where they go. I mean, really, the Leavitt thing isn't over yet, but if it does end soon, there's going to be names emerge, and it might be a thing where the guy's not in the portal.
Yeah.
Or who of the top guys available, like a Dylan Raiola, a DJ Lagway, a Deuce Knight of that kind of batch, do they like, and do they try to make a push for one of those?
Right. I thought it was funny that Florida State had Lagway and Calandria on campus at the same time. It's always fun when you got multiple quarterbacks visiting at the same time. That's got to be kind of awkward, right? Just knowing like, okay, well, it's probably only going to be one of us, so who's it going to be? And, sometimes they use that as a little bit of a strategy too, to try to get one to go ahead and jump and take that spot. So we'll see how all that unfolds, because it is just sort of a daily roller coaster ride, right? Where you're kind of on pins and needles, and then something happens and things change drastically. I mean, they certainly have so far, and there's probably going to be some more that comes in the very near future. Nathaniel said, over under Daffy Duck memes when we land Leavitt. It's funny because the Daffy meme, been getting warnings on KS Board for a very long time, but they've reemerged and the warnings are still being handed out. So I appreciate that everybody else is using different Daffy memes, and it's kind of like just a fun little inside joke on KS Board, which if you aren't on there, 50% off annual subscription. It's live now. So go ahead, ride the wave with us. If you're one of those who likes hearing names about visitors, that's usually where you'll get it first. What was it? You all hung around with us live, so there's one we shared recently, Jamarian Harkless. You mentioned him in our portal preview show, Luckett.
Mm-hmm.
Purdue guy, Douglas guy.
Big nose tackle.
Turns out he came home for Christmas break and was hanging out at Kentucky. So there's another one to sort of keep an eye on.
Nice little scoop there, Nick Roush. Like how you just dropped that in here at the end.
Yeah. I also like that we have a thread up on the board about the ladybug that keeps crawling around on my microphone, which I would have thought that it would have flown away by now, but this ladybug ain't going nowhere, folks, which hopefully forecasts a successful portal haul for Kentucky. It's got people fired up because this is Will Stein's first time to leave his mark, and he's still coaching in Oregon, right? I know he was here on Friday. flew straight from the Orange Bowl to get here for the visits on Friday. Saw that first batch of players and was back in Oregon by Saturday night. So it was a quick trip. Got another week until we get him back on campus, maybe, or maybe he just keeps on winning, right? But if Indiana showed us anything, you can still get top portal players when you're preparing for the playoff, because Sig got Hoover and he also got Marsh from Michigan State today. So they're rolling in it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Old Sig, light up the Marlboro Reds.
And Nick, I think we got a lot of work to do. So we're going to have to get off here. We're going to get on again sometime in the near future. I got a feeling. Yeah,
I do too. These will be a little bit shorter, not as robust, hour-long podcasts. But we're here to keep you updated throughout it all. Stay locked in with the transfer portal happenings on KS Board. We got to go do some work. We'll see you before too long. He's Adam Luckett. I'm Nick Roush. This has been 11 Personnel.